Week 1 of the 2023 NFL season is finally here, and it's time to make those predictions. Who is going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl versus the NFC, and what prospects are going to have the big impacts? We'll tell you next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. Happy Tuesday, guys, and thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Thank y'all for being our everydayers, man. But I gotta give a shout out. I gotta kick it over to my guy, my partner in crime, Keith Sanchez, aka Mr. LSU. You can find him on Twitter at the Talent Code. Keep talking to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? This is Keith Sanchez, senior draft analyst with the Draft Network, man, and 2019 national champ with those LSU Tigers, man. But you know why we're here, right? We're here to bring you that championship level content surrounding the NFL draft 24/7, 365. DP, and I must say, you know, I'm still hurting a little bit. It's Tuesday morning. I'm still hurting a little bit from that Sunday night whipping that my Tigers took, man. But it's still LSU all the way. We're going to get this thing going, man. And we have quite a slate strapped up today, man. We're going through and we're picking division winners, right? We're picking division winners from the perspective of when you add in their past draft classes, right? Because we always say, man, championships are built through the draft. So you add in the 2022-2023 NFL draft class. How do they flip things on the head, right? Historically, I think what is usually 7 teams in the NFL, somewhere around that number, that is a new team, 7 new teams that enter the playoffs each year. They kind of cycle in and cycle out. So, man, we're going to have some fun with this thing. But, DP, before we get this thing started, why don't we go ahead and kick them off with our title sponsor?
Today's episode of Locked On NFL Draft is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL or enter the promo code LockedOnNFL for a water bottle with any order. You will not want to take off your Bird Dogs. We promise you. Keith, go right ahead, man. Let's kick this thing off.
I'm going to jump right into it, man. And I said we're picking division winners. We are staying in the AFC conference today, tap in tomorrow for the NFC conference. But we're going to start with the showstoppers, right? The people that have been still in the headlines, and that's the AFC East division. You look at the New York Jets. They've added Will McDonald, Joe Tippmann, Israel Bandakanda, 2022, right? We know Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, 2 defensive player of the years. You look at the Buffalo Bills. They had an addition of Dalton Kincaid, and they got some interior offensive line help with Osiris Torrance. And in 2022, they added Kyer Elam and James Cook. Those New England Patriots DP. They went and got Christian Gonzalez, Mr. Lockdown himself, Keon White, who looks like he's going to be a hell of a player for the Patriots, and then Keyshawn Butte. While in 2022, we didn't forget, DP, y'all drafted Cole Strange in the first round and Tyquan Thornton, and to round out those Miami Dolphins, not many draft picks there, man, but we could talk about 2023. They added Cam Smith and Devon Achane. But I want to ask you, DP, that's the draft picks, right? Along with the players they already have, on their rosters. Who are you picking to win the glorified, right? The showstopper, the Hollywood, the AFC East? Who's going to be AFC East champs, DP?
Keith, I'm going with the New York Jets, man. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
I'm buying
the
Kool-Aid, and the Kool-Aid is green. It is jet green, the mean green.
It's jet green. I'm picking them Jets, man. I think as you listed off the high caliber prospects that they've drafted, right? Yes. And you can even go back a couple years ago, Quinnen Williams, right? Yes. Jermaine, you got Jermaine Johnson last year. Like they've done enough, you know what I mean, for and getting veterans on their defense as well. With I think it was a DJ Reed at corner and everything like that. Like they have CJ Mosley at linebacker, Quincy, Quinnen Williams' brother, grabbing him off the waivers after he was let go by the Jags. This is a team that just need to figure out the quarterback. There's one position they just cannot draft is quarterback, right? And what did they say? And they admitted it, right? After year 2 of Zach Wilson, they said, man, let's go get Aaron Rodgers. Let's go do what it takes. And let's go get, one of the GOATs, one of the best we've ever seen step on the football field at any position, but especially at quarterback. And I think with Aaron Rodgers and him understanding that he's in that New York media, and there's nobody that can tear you down quicker than the New York media. Let's not go in there and do the things I did in Green Bay. Right? He's turned over a new leaf. He's being the leader. Everything that you wanted to see from him in Green Bay, you're seeing from him in New York, man. I think with the weapons he has some guys he's used to, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, right? And everything like that. But they're having number 17, not Devontae Adams, but a guy he said could end up having an impact like Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. So I'm picking those Jets, man. I think that the defense is top tier. It's a stellar defense. They can rush the passer. They can drop off in coverage and cover well. But this time around, this year, with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, I expect them to have an offense that could put up points and complement that top tier type of defense, Keith.
Okay, DP, I respect it, man. But I'm one of those people, man. Until you beat the man, right? He's still the man. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. I'm going Josh Allen. Do I love their draft class, right? And we had that discussion. I think that was last week, right? We talked about their general manager. And he hasn't necessarily made great picks, but I think they'll be able to sustain this year. Next year, I think what they've done in the draft, or lack of ability to draft players that's going to contribute to the scheme, I think it's going to catch up with them. This year, I think they're still locked and loaded. So I'm picking the Buffalo Bills, DP, as I think they're going to be reigning champs. And guess what? We get to kind of somewhat figure this thing out early on, because this is the Monday night football, like the showcase, right? It's week one, Monday Night Football. You get the Bills versus the Jets. So this is definitely going to be exciting. This AFC East, like I said, there'll be so many storylines, and we'll be here to cover them. But DP, we got to keep this thing rolling, right? There's an East, there's also a West, man, and that is Patrick Mahomes' lane. I'm going to go through DP real quick, man, and read off some of the draft picks, right? We'll start at the very top. Kansas City Chiefs, right? They went Feelings and Duke Uzoma, the edge rusher, right? Rasheed Rice, they went also to who we've seen contribute already. 2022, the Kansas City Chiefs went Trip McDuffie, George Karlaftis, Sky Moore. Los Angeles Chargers, DP, 2023, they drafted our guy, Quentin Johnston. In 2022, they went Zion Johnson. And I added in a 2021 draft pick, DP, Rashawn Slater, because we know he's going to be a heavy contributor. Denver Broncos, a lot of y'all draft compensation went to Broncos country. Let's ride in Russell Wilson. But they did pick up Marvin Mims and Drew Sanders in 2023. And then in 2022, I have Greg Dosich. For those Las Vegas Raiders, I have Tyree Wilson in 2023, Michael Mayer. And then I added Aiden O'Connell, who I didn't think I was going to put on this list before the preseason, but he made this list. And in 2022, I mean, they drafted Zamir White, but Josh Jacobs is obviously back there. So DP, the West Coast, baby, we're going out West, AFC West. Who do you have winning this division?
Keith, you said it in the first, in the first half of this when you talked about the East. To beat a man, you got to beat the man. And I'm rolling with Pat Mahomes, man. Pat Mahomes is the scariest player in the NFL. Like, how they always talk about with boxers, he's pound for pound, this, that, or the third. Like, this is the scariest man in the NFL. And you got Aaron Donald, you have Quinnen Williams, you have all these different, defensive tackles with Chris Jones, his own teammate, things of that nature. But watching what he did last year, right, with what some people call a ragtag bunch of wide receivers. Okay, like you didn't have a true wide receiver one. Everybody said that Tyreek Hill. I saw those tweets, guys. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all tried to delete them. I saw those tweets that Tyreek Hill made him and all this other stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? I always say this, Keith. People hate winners. They love losers or players that haven't won. All right? Tom Brady was always hated more than Aaron Rodgers. Why? Because Tom Brady had more rings than Aaron Rodgers. Okay? It's the same thing with Pat Mahomes. People were ready for him to fall off the cliff. It didn't happen. All right. So now you add in Justin Ross, to this offense, healthy. Like you said, Rasheed Rice, Sky Moore. Hopefully can keep Kadarius Toney healthy as well. This is an offense and going into, year two together, man, I don't see him skipping a beat or missing a step, man. This offensive line's revamped on the edges where now they're more athletic, without having Orlando Brown, who's not the best athlete. So I'm going Kansas City Chiefs, man. You got to be the man. You got to beat the man. Justin Herbert, whether it's Jimmy G, Aiden O'Connell, I mean, good luck. Whoever's the quarterback for the Raiders. And then, of course, Russell Wilson, y'all got to stare at the same guy and knock him off that pedestal, man. So I'm going Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Hey, I like it, DP. I'm going to go there. And then my sneaky pick for this is the Chargers. I really like the addition of Quentin Johnston, and we've talked about this multiple times already, right? But it's more, I like the complementary effect that it has, right? And if you're going to tell me that Quentin Johnston is the vertical threat, you're going to tell me that your vertical threat is 6'2.5", 200 plus pounds, and can take the top off. I like that, right? I like almost doubling down in a sense, right, on the offensive weapons. And like we said, we know that there's an injury history with the combination of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and kind of having Quentin Johnston to balance that thing out. I think will be really exciting for the Los Angeles Chargers, because it's going to come down to this. You're going to have to play good defense, right? And they've invested on the defense side of football, but you're going to have to score some points too. And we're not talking about the playoffs, right? Usually to win a division, if you have a really good offense, you can do that. A la you ask them teams like the Minnesota Vikings, right? They'll win a division. It's just the playoffs is where they'll get caught up at. But DP, man, we about to transition, right? We knocked out the East and the West, man. We put it on tap. We telling you who we think is going to win. Like we said, you went the New York Jets. I went the Buffalo Bills. We're going to figure that thing out. And then we both went the Kansas City Chiefs with the Los Angeles Chargers as a sneaky pick. Coming up next, figure out who we're going to pick for that AFC North, the blue blood division, right? You're talking about the Steelers, the Browns, the Bengals, right? The Ravens, right? Who you can't forget about. And then we're going to talk about the AFC South with a bunch of young quarterbacks, man. All those quarterbacks, they are very young. All of them under 23 years old, man. Who's going to win the AFC South? We're talking about both of those divisions coming up next.
Guys, let me tell you about Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs make me look good, so I believe they're going to make you look good just as well. All right, their khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and the leg, give you that truly sculpted look that you're trying to achieve with all the work you put in the gym during leg day. Their shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon's, but they fit way better, and they fit better than the regular stiff cotton restricted made shorts that we're accustomed to. All because they use a cloud knit fabric that looks like khakis, but they stretch to give the way slimmer fit without sacrificing the movement. And peep this, the anti-stink and sweat wicking fabric is top tier. It keeps you cool and dry all day long, especially in those summer months. So go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL or enter the promo code LockedOnNFL at checkout for a free Bird Dogs water bottle with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL for a free water bottle at checkout. You will not want to take off your Bird Dogs, we promise you. The AFC North, Keith, they're up. And, man, this is arguably the most, if there's any division I'm excited to watch play football in 2023 for the NFL, it's the AFC North. This may be the most competitive division in football on paper. Let's put it like on paper. You know what I mean? I think all four teams have a quarterback now. On paper, it's probably the most competitive, Keith. But who are you picking for that blue blood, that black and blue, hard, physical AFC North?
This one is tough, DP. It's tough because the teams that nobody's talking about, right, are even better than what I think people are perceiving them to be, and that's the Ravens and the Browns. If Deshaun Watson he don't have to be Deshaun Watson that led the league in passing yards and viewed as a top 5 quarterback. If he's just a top 10 quarterback with this roster that they have with Pro Bowlers on every single level of this offense, right, they're going to be a tough out for a lot of teams, DP. But you talked about the hype train, DP. I'm on the hype train. Lamar Jackson. I'm picking the Ravens. The Ravens, this team is just way too loaded. And I was watching a graphic on ESPN, DP, and they put up the top 5 receivers, just receivers, not including Mark Andrews, anything, just receivers, DP. And it was guys like Devin Duvernay, right? Went from the Ravens' number 2 option last year. I think he's ranked as their their 5th option or their 4th option. That's huge, right? When you add in a Odell Beckham and then you add in a Zay Flowers, right? And then not only that, did they add Nelson Aguilar? I believe they add it's another.
You got Rashad Bateman healthy.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. Devin Duvernay went from your number 2 option to your number 5 option. That lets you know how much that you added to the receiver core, and then you still add in what Lamar Jackson can do. And Zay Flowers gonna be a problem. That guy's going to be a problem in the NFL. I tweeted that out just from that preseason game, I think, when they played the Commanders, and you just seen his short area quickness. Odell Beckham is going to be Odell. And then you say he's still got a good run game. This offensive line is still one of the best offensive lines in the entire NFL. And then you're going to add the playmaker that there is, Lamar Jackson, Mr. Stone Cold 8 himself. So I'm going with the Ravens, but I think this is going to be a really fun division, DP, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get 3 teams in.
No, Keith, and I went back and forth on this myself, but I also landed on the Ravens. You know what I mean? I'm a big Lamar Jackson believer, but I always said give him some weapons, give him more weapons than just Mark Andrews, right? But you talked about Devin Duvernay, Zay Flowers, Odell. We got Rashad Bateman healthy. The running game should be back with J.K. Dobbins healthy and everything. Then adding in Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator from Georgia, who was able to scheme and design ways to get his multiple tight ends open, to get his wide receivers open, and help Stetson Bennett, who was a 4th round pick in the NFL draft, and that was kind of early for him. So like at the end of the day, Todd Monken knows how to call an offense. But there's one guy that I think Todd Monken is going to help a lot. That's Isaiah Likely, the 2nd-year tight end that they got out of Coastal Carolina. That when Mark Andrews got hurt in the middle of the season, I think it was a game versus the Buccaneers. It was the Isaiah Likely show. They were feeding him the football. He was showcasing his run after catch ability. And I'm like, okay, with Todd Monken on this offense, calling this offense with Lamar Jackson, you should see more 12 personnel and not as much of the heavy stuff that Greg Roman was running, like, just to run the ball, but 12 personnel that can turn into spread open concepts with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely on the field at the same time. Man, I'm excited. Like I said, the Bengals, listen, they've won the division back-to-back years, right? Yeah, first year, the 2021 they went to the Super Bowl. This past year they went to the AFC Championship again and lost, close to Pat Mahomes and everything. But I believe that now that Lamar Jackson, we know Mahomes is the scariest dude in the league, right? Because he's been healthy, all that stuff like that. If Lamar Jackson 100% healthy for 17 games, his weapons stay healthy for 17 games, this is the most frightening individual at quarterback, Keith, because there's no other way to defend him, right? If he's hitting the long ball, his receivers are getting open, something he's not accustomed to, and he's able to get the ball to his receivers. Now you can't play. If you decide to play man-to-man, you just open yourself up for him to gas you for 60. If you play zone and he's able to pick you apart in the middle of the field like he's always been able to do, especially with Mark Andrews and now Isaiah Likely, man, how do you defend it? And that's for me, is like, if there's anybody that can prove everybody wrong, you give him some weapons. The Baltimore Ravens did that. He's happy because he got paid as well. I think Lamar Jackson, I think he's coming out to destroy some narratives and prove why he's that guy.
Yeah, DP, and real quick, we can't not mention the Steelers, right? With Kenny Pickett, right. George Pickens, that offense taking a step forward, and then the Bengals, right? You can never count out Joe Burr, Joe Shiesty, Joe Cool, whatever you want to call him, right? You can't count out Joe Burrow, man. The guy just simply makes plays, and he's a 2019 national champ also. So, there's a little bit in common right there with DP. We about to swing this thing. We finished up on quarterbacks, right? We about to swing this thing to the AFC South, right? And they have nothing but young quarterbacks, like I talked about. You have the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? Trevor Lawrence. You have the Tennessee Titans. They're trying to figure that thing out with Malik Willis and Will Levis. They double down on the young quarterbacks, right? Then you have the Houston Texans with CJ Stroud giving him the nod, and then you have the Indianapolis Colts with your guy, right? Anthony Richardson. DP, who's winning this AFC South?
Oh, man, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they are the best team in the division. I know the Tennessee Titans the Tennessee Titans roster is good. That's a good roster. The quarterback is a different discussion. So it's like, I think that's going to hold them back. Where I look at Trevor Lawrence, you give him Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. Now he's got a two-headed monster in the backfield with Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. He's got multiple athletic tight ends with Brenton Strange that they just drafted. Did they re-sign or just give him the franchise tag to Evan Ingram? But he's got playmakers, man, all over the field. And I think the offensive line is going to be good. They got to get Cam Robinson back. I think he's like a 4-game suspension for, I think may have been PEDs or something like that. But he got suspended for a couple games. But still, man, I just look at this team. I think defensively they're going to be better than last year. I'm expecting Trayvon Walker, the 2022 number 1 overall pick, to come out and prove why he was why we say bet on the traits. I'm picking them Jaguars, man. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to solidify himself as one of the best young quarterbacks in this league, to where some people may be asking do you want him or do you want Justin Herbert?
Okay. Yeah. Look, I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars also. I think this was probably maybe one of the easier picks. You mentioned the Tennessee Titans, DP. I just don't know if they're just a year too late with this equation, right? And I think that draft with the trade for Treylon Burks, right? And then they drafted Malik Willis. And then, I think, kind of missing a little bit on the offensive line with Nicholas Petit-Frere in the 2022 draft. I think that kind of set them back, and we're seeing it now, right? Because the offensive weapons, you have to add DeAndre Hopkins, Kyle Phillips, Treylon Burks. Let's see what that is. But I just think that this style and just the age group of the players, like you're one hamstring with Derrick Henry away from what are we as a football team, right? And I do like Tajay Spears, the young running back that they drafted out of Tulane. I just don't know if he's going to be that type of bell cow for the Tennessee Titans. So that's the competitor that I would say, because we know there's going to be, a ground and pound offense, move the ball, protected. Mike Vrabel, we know the style that he likes to play with. I just don't know if it's I want to say stale as the right word, but it's just kind of it just kind of worn itself out. And we always talk about that championship window. I just think it kind of closed and they need a reset. I don't think Mike Vrabel wants to go to being bad to reset, which I don't blame him, but you also have to draft really well to be able to kind of make that transition as smooth as possible.
Well, Keith, that's a two-headed coin for him, because if this thing don't go well, you can absolutely go back home to Ohio State, because Ryan Day doesn't have a quarterback right now. So you could absolutely go back to college, to your alma mater, and do that. But I agree with you. And Keith, I'm going to say this. If there's an impact statement out of all this, the Tennessee Titans need to move away from this model. They need to change this offense and become more modern. They're running the ball, and their offense is designed like it's the 85 Bears. But you cannot win like this.
But DP, the problem is you don't know if Ryan Tannehill can handle that, right? We seen Ryan Tannehill.
That's the other problem. Get him out of there.
Yeah, we've seen Ryan Tannehill in a more modern offense, right? When he was with the Miami Dolphins, he needs a support system, run game, defense, things like that, in order for him to be successful. So I agree with you, DP, that the transition needs to happen. And we'll see. I just don't know about it with the AFC South this year. So, but there we have it, right? We picked our four division winners, right? But the thing is this, coming up next, we are about to pick who we think will be the AFC champions. And the key thing about this twist, DP, you don't have to win your division to be an AFC champion. So coming up next, we're going to talk about who we believe is ultimately going to win the AFC conference and represent the AFC conference in the Super Bowl. Coming up next.
Get ready for the 2023 NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets, guaranteed. Let me repeat myself, because I don't think you heard me correctly. Right now, you can bet, as a new customer now, you can bet $5, 5 buckaroos, 5 big ones, $5, and get $200 back in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. You heard that. That's a deal you can't miss. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is super easy to use, and you can bet on everything from the money line, spread, player props, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you do not want to miss. FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. Time to put it on wax, Keith. Who are you picking to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl?
DP, you went to me first. I wasn't expecting. I thought you was gonna go first. I thought I was gonna have a couple minutes to really think about this, but you threw it right into my lap. Yeah, you threw it right into. I thought you was gonna go ahead and you pick first. DP, this is tough, man. This is tough because, like I said, man, the AFC is so deep. Like with the Buffalo Bills, I picked them in the AFC East, but the Jets could still make it into the playoffs, right? The Miami Dolphins is a very sneaky team. But I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I think the Ravens, that team is well-rounded enough. I believe in what Chuck Smith is going to do as a pass rush specialist. With David Ojabo and those guys over there. They have a really good team. Kyle Hamilton playing, his role. They drafted some corners, right, trying to get that part solidified. So I'm gonna go to Baltimore Ravens. I think it's gonna be the Ravens that win the AFC.
And Keith, I'm picking the Ravens as well. And like we talked about earlier, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I think Lamar Jackson, when all things are aligned, is the true biggest threat to Pat Mahomes, right? Because he has the type of style of offense and what he does as a player, where he can beat you through the air and with his legs. And you talk about churning down the clock and taking time off the clock and keeping Pat Mahomes pissed off on the sideline because he can't get on the field because your offense is you can be quick and up tempo, but the Ravens have an offense that could be ground and pound as well. And when you have that type of versatility, Keith, you're a threat to anybody if you're healthy. And you talk about defensively, Keith, I'm gonna say this: Trenton Simpson, watch out for him and how John Harbaugh and that defensive staff uses this young man. Because we saw what he looked like with Brent Venables. He was a top 15 lock when he was with Brent Venables. And then Wes Goodwin came in and the defense didn't look the same, right? Because Brent Venables is a more exotic type of guy defensively. I think with that linebacker core of Trenton Simpson, Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, they'll be able to do a lot of different things on the second level in terms of affecting the quarterback, whether it's in coverage or attacking downhill. And they got a litany of pass rushers as well, man. Yeah, I think defensively they're going to be better than we saw last year. So I'm taking the Ravens in a close win versus those Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to the Chiefs. It's going to be there, and I think it's going to be Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes. That's money, baby. That's money right there for TV.
I agree. That's gonna be a great show. But like I said, man, when I picked that, it was with decent confidence, right? But I can make an argument for about 7 other teams, man. This is what's gonna make this conference so much fun. But speaking of conference, DP, we went through the AFC today, right? Tomorrow we're actually going through the NFC. So we're picking the NFC conference for our listeners, and we're picking the Super Bowl champ, right? We're putting it all out there. Thursday is 2 days away. We're trying to get all our takes out, man, and get ready for this upcoming NFL season, because you're rocking with your guys, the dynamic duo. Like we said, we have this whole season, right? Last year we got inserted to what right around the end of the Super Bowl, the Senior Bowl, but this year you have us the entire season, so we can go ahead and rock this thing. But like I said, man, shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us. You know we go live on Saturdays now, so we can interact on YouTube in a live fashion. But once again, appreciate y'all.
Man, listen, thank you all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available on YouTube. Hit the bell notification. All right. Go the post that Keith was talking about for Saturday morning. I already created it, so it should be there for you. Can click the bell notification on that so the YouTube notifies you when we do go live on Saturday morning. Thank y'all for just being our everydayers, man. Like he said, NFC preview, Super Bowl preview on tomorrow's show. We'll talk about the prospects in the NFC as well. In terms of Twitter, you can find and follow me, Damian Parson, DP_NFL, Keith Sanchez at The Talent Code. Talk to us because we do talk back. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.